So the Most High speaks to me for what I need to do at that moment. And that's how a true teacher must be. He can't be constantly going back referring to notes that he read 2 years ago, because 2 years hence ain't the same thing happening. So I'd like to say, peace be multiplied unto you all. And I want to thank you for the gracious invitation. Now I stand here before you, as probably thousands will, and I got a humble kind of message for all of you all. It's something that my predecessors and your predecessors who teach have said it thousands of times before, and the very fact that y'all took flesh seems that y'all ain't got it again. So I'm going to have to say it again. Now I have been given an assignment, an earthly assignment, with the express purpose of delivering to you a new consciousness threshold equation. That is the border between the third and fourth density. Now when I say density, I mean dimension. So when you hear me refer to the word density, I'm talking about phasing in and out of the third and fourth dimension, because that's essentially what's happening to us now. We are at that point where we are phasing out of the old and phasing into the new, so we got both feet in two dimensions. That's why so many people are bugging all over the United States and the world. My subjects for this day will be entitled Light Code Transmissions and the Key to Melanin Pathology. Not mythology. A lot of people thought I was saying mythology, but it's the key to melanin pathologies, as well as the metaphysical causes of female diseases. Now, a lot of us have not studied enough of the conditions of our sisters, and that's to the sisters themselves, and they have not been doing that. But since I am a metaphysician as well as a natural healing consultant, I have seen over the 20 years of my work, 75 to 85% of the people who come to see me have been my sisters. So you get a chance to see a pattern, and then you can draw a qualitative assessment based upon a reoccurring decimal, if you know what I'm talking about. If it constantly keeps coming back at you, there got to be a cause that out there somebody's not addressing. The words I bear to you today are as close to the truth as my capacity for understanding the truth will allow me to access, and I promise to impart it to you with as much clarity as I possibly can, because as it floods through, I may not have the words formed yet to match the perception necessary for you to overstand. You understand what I'm saying? Or do you overstand? All right. Now, I'm not like a lot of other teachers who play with your mind and your need to know. I will repeat that. I know that you all have been exposed to teachers who give you just a little much and keep pulling it back because they want that money. But you see, something's going to happen to them. You can't play with a person's need to know, because if the seed for knowing is there, then the Most High is orchestrating a linkage. You see? And if you keep short-sheeting somebody, then the sentinels of light is going to pay you. I will not withhold info from you. Should you ask me a question, there is just as much that I have to say in that short time. As much as I can give to you at that time, I will give it to you. Because you see, there is a fathomless, bottomless, devoid of barriers. That's what I'm, just think of things devoid of barriers. That's how much knowledge there is out there. We are not going to do anything but scratch or maybe even feel the surface of it. We can't even scratch it right now. That's how much there is to know. So any of these metaphysicians that are out there that are in it less than 20 years and have not been the metaphysics, I call them dead letter prophets. People who read, get inspired by the word, can tell a good story and then come outside, which is good. because now they're ushering the way for the teachers who have been waiting to come out to let you know. There are things about metaphysics that if you are not precise in the explanation of that, you're just getting told a good story. There is a science to metaphysics. And unless you can evaluate the word and the equation that goes with that word, I can't trip your understanding. I cannot open you up so that you may be filled with the light that is beaming into this galaxy at this time. There is a quickening on the horizon. And not many of y'all are going to make it. Now, light code transmissions will be an investigation into the spiritual science of redemption. I cannot cover it all in this day, but I can lay the groundwork for future labors upon this subject. The Bible says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge, and no true words were ever spoken, for the lack of knowledge by which we perish is the knowledge of self. Brothers and sisters, we are all suffocating from an old paradigm of consciousness that is collapsing around us like a punctured balloon. We operate in a modem and in an old territory of reality that is suffocating us because it's dead. It's like carrying around a dead body. All the cells inside of you are dead. You don't have the equation for resurrection, for rehabilitation. Getting the temple ready so that it may be able to make that next quantum leap into that fourth and fifth dimensional plane. And the thing is, the collapse of this old paradigm means that the new paradigm is condensing into your old paradigm. Do you understand what I mean? You know what condensation is? Well, that's how the reality will come upon you. It won't come in a flash. It's been here. It's just that you don't have the organs and the tools necessary to deal with that atmosphere yet. You know when you go into another atmosphere where there's less air, you start breathing that way? Well, that's what's happening to you. You suffocate. And as you're suffocating, you're fighting. You're kicking, you're scratching, you're yelling, you're arguing, you're killing because you can't breathe. The atmosphere is not conducive for sanity. That's because the spirit is condensing into this plane. And it's dying. This particular level of consciousness is dying now. And there are few of us who are trying to prop it up. Why do you think the movie Frankenstein is out? It's to get you to start rehashing all the little limbs and organs of the old paradigm to prop up a zombie so that you may continue to worship this way, to act this way, to be that way. But you're headed this way. The present environment wherein we are living is exhausted of the precious materials. All life support systems are failing because the new body of light cannot be born into the new or the next consciousness time zone. Now this came to me on the plane. Many of us now experience parallel phase shifts because the fourth dimension is condensing into our space-time awareness like a cloud slowly descending to earth. How many of y'all wake up sometimes and you don't know where you are? Or how many of y'all sometimes wake up and y'all say, well, what did I do 2 minutes ago? Or how many of y'all walk down the block and forget where you're going? Little things you're going to start noticing. How many wake up next to the person and say, who the hell is that sleeping next to me? See what's going to happen? People are disappearing. All those whose body are ready to make the transitions are out of here. Our cells, through their chromosomes, and the word chromosomes will pop up throughout this time that we're here speaking. Chromosomes meaning the color zones or the color zones within us. The chromosomes are being fixed with a new prism alignment. And this prism alignment is through the light. See, light is going to be the medium or the conduit for the consciousness information coming here. Light. Many of us are here by assignment to help in this great transition. And many of us are here to disrupt it and to prevent it. Metaphysically speaking, melanin is a geometric matrix of light designed to align the 360 specific light codes for the actualization of the new consciousness. I'm going to say it again. Melanin is a geometric matrix of light. Anybody ever seen what the melanin molecule looks like? Well, it's time for you to go and study. Get a picture of melanin, and like the medunetra, or what you call a hieroglyphic, stare at it for a while, because it ain't got no physical interpretation. When you look at the medunetra, it was not written for linear understanding. It was meant for you to combine both brains to understand and unlock the codes within those pictures. You are only trained with one side of your brain. The Western school system only has you looking to one side of your brain. That's why if you were to get into a pool or a school of dolphins, because only one side of your brain is working, it would look to them like you were fast asleep. Because dolphins are entities that transmuted to the next time. See, dolphins are human type entities who, because of a rift in the consciousness time zone, had to create or had to involve inside of new bodies in order to correct the time shift. So what happened was, you got an entity there that has a brain twice the size of yours, who talk and speak through telepathy, and both sides of their brain works. That's why they link up so good with retarded people. Certain retardation, or the problems of certain forms of retardation, dolphins and them link up real quick, because both sides of the brain are working. But since only one side of your brain works, if you look at a dolphin, when a dolphin is in the water and it's asleep, it's the most beautiful thing to watch, because as it's asleep, it shuts down one side of the brain, and then it floats to the bottom. When it tips to the top, breathes, then it kind of spirals to the bottom. At the time a dolphin is sleeping, one half of the brain shuts off. So when they see you, they think you're asleep. And you are. So melanin is a geometric matrix of light designed to align the 300 specific light codes of the actualization, or for the actualization of the new awareness. Melanin is the biologically synthesized expression of dark matter consciousness. Anybody ever heard of dark matter? Go ahead and do some more studies. So I'm going to give you things for you to go and look. And that's another thing I want to tell you, brothers and sisters. Don't be an information junkie. Don't come here and sit before me, get high on the words I'm giving you, and then go back home, then to your job and say, oh, I went to a place with this brother. He was kind of interesting. Said a few things. Then you got some conversation around the water cooler. But you go home and do the same damn things you've been doing before. So don't sit before me, gracious as you are, and don't do a damn thing about what I'm about to impart, because you do me the most injustice. And what you do is you insult the work. People used to gather like this in the old days to get information, to know what to do in the communities, to know what to do to prepare. If it's for war, we get ready for war. We gather like this, but you don't go home and don't do nothing. Dark matter is the dot that returns light to itself. Dark matter is the dot, or the dark matter dot that you see. Ever see that symbol, the dot with the circle around it? That's it. That's the eye of Heru. It is the darkness cast forth Now, this is what melanin is, and I'm telling you the metaphysical principles for melanin, because a lot of our brothers and sisters have been giving you a lot of scientific left brain information on melanin, and then we've been tripping, because a lot of our teachers and a lot of our messengers were giving you a whole lot of masturbatory, psychological masturbation techniques about your melanin. But you're still dying from the same damn things white people are dying from, if we are so superior with melanin. That's the BS that our teachers are giving us from that left brain European schools. They're not teaching you the metaphysical principles that go with your gift. So if you get a big head thinking that because you got melanin you better, then why is it that everybody's dying from heart attacks? Why are you dying from cancer? Why are you going blind? Why your stomach and your backside is spreading? You so damn superior. We are blessed and gifted to have the basis upon which to rebuild what has happened, the travesty that has happened to our species over the last 1 million years. We are the ones left with the basic floor plan upon which to rebuild what has happened. The European is not. It is the darkness cast forth so that light may be retrieved. It is said that out of the darkness came the light. But as it goes forth, it also must return. Humanity, Humanity, is God's attempt to know itself. Because if out of the darkness came the light, then back into the darkness it must go so that it would have consciousness. Because you see, that which is what you call the Most High cannot know itself. It is all-knowing. If it is all-knowing, it cannot know itself unless it separates from itself. It has separated from itself, and it created us. So you now have the responsibility of gathering knowledge for the Most High. You don't have a useless existence. Everything about you is to gather consciousness and to bring dark matter into light, so that it can review itself. You see, what they want to tell you is, and this is not what they don't tell you this in church and in these other places, not even in your metaphysical schools, is that God is not perfect. God is perfecting. Big difference. That is perfection. So you are here in the throes of perfecting. And as you fall into line, that is perfection. Because if the Most High were perfect, why do you exist? Time to think. It gives us incentive. Because it is upon us, each one of us, a cell in the new body, to make sure that our place has that light. That's that light around you. If you look at a cell, it has an aura around it. That's what you are. You are consciousness cells in the God body. It is God's recreation of itself, melanin, and the people around it and in it. For light or consciousness to return to itself, it must have a representation of itself in the God form. That form was the original dark man. Melanin is the frequency band wherein all life is given species-conscious identity. Now, melanin comes in different colors. It shows itself as different forms of the light. So melanin isn't just about being black. Now, how many of you heard the video that I did with Dr. Deborah Blair? The one where I spoke about the fact that we were green. Oh, y'all heard. It's the truth. Because if you look outside at the life, the tree life, or what we call the green life, it synthesizes light 10 times better than you do. So, what has happened to us as humanity, when we lost the ability to synthesize the light directly, which you call the fall, we began to have to eat to encumber the light secondhand. We never breathed before. We never ate before. Now, everything you do is a byproduct of the so-called fall. Now, if you look outside at the green life during this season, what colors do the leaves become in that season? Loud. You notice the colors of the races on the planet? Brown, yellow, what is it? Red, greens, then it goes all the way to white, or really pale. Now, what do you call that part of the season? The fall. So, when you look at the fall of man, you will see that this season we call the fall shows you just where you all have come from. Because if you were to look at the ancestors full face in their full glory, you'd go mad. Because they don't look nothing like you. We have pictures that try to show them as we look. I mean, I'll be talking about our ancestors about 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, maybe 10,000 years. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about 35, 55, 75, 150,000 years ago, 1 million, 2 million years ago. You couldn't look at them because they'll show you how far you have fallen. And the further away from the light you become, paler you get. Ain't that a science here? Like the many cable channels on your TV, all channels are capable of being received, but only one or two can be possibly shown at the same time. This is because each channel has a band or wavelength that it functions within, and the TV is equipped to pick up as many as its receptor bands or has been designed to get. And that's the same with you. All your wirings are down. The melanin molecule don't have the same switches turned on anymore. So you can't pick up the kind of light messages necessary for you to deal in the new time. But I can help you turn them back on. You got to heal the temple first. You got to stop doing the things that you normally do. What you call is normal. Invisible lines of dark matter, mind force, establish a systematic pattern of light code geometries which forms the design matrix of the melanin molecule. The melanin molecule design is a construct of the original thought that mind, the mind of God that is, imaged itself into existence with. Whoa, what did he just say? I'll say it again. The melanin molecule's design is a construct of the original thought that the original mind put forth as it imaged itself into existence. You see, if you know anything about metaphysics and the secret behind it, God geometrizes. Creation is a geometric pattern. If you look at melanin, it's a geometric pattern of consciousness. We all have it, even the white or the pale, they have it too. They have it in stasis, but they got it too. I'm giving you all some things that you got to go home and look at and study. You're in school. Now this design includes switches that turn off and on, bypass circuitries, circuit breakers, transduction terminals, relay terminals, all for the calibration of consciousness in the form of light geometries. I'll say it again. The design of the melanin molecule has switches that turn on and off, bypass circuitries, circuit breakers, transduction terminals, relay terminals, all for the calibration of consciousness in the form of light geometries. Instead of calling it melanin, this came to me as the plane began to go down and then up. You know that feeling when you're riding the plane, all of a sudden it starts to do this? And you say, oh hell, it's going to crash. Instead of calling it melanin from this point, I refer to call it by our mother tongue's name, and that is, since melanin is a molecule or a molecular synthesis of dark matter, and since matter is just another density of light, from here on melanin will also be referred to here and there as the Seshep Kem-Ur. S-E-S-H-E-P-K-E-M-Ur. You are. Now, Seshep is light in the Kemetic. Kem is the black. And Ur is that which is the Most High. It's a nice language, ain't it? It sings. I just said in the name of the Great Mother and the Great Father and all that proceeds from it, from them, we give thanks to life. Kind of loses something in the translation, though, doesn't it? So the Seshep Kem-Ur would be the dark matter that comes into light. As far as the science of melanin and what European studies have revealed, the studies by our black scholars are concerned, by those that have taught us in the past, I do not claim to be able to fill or to field words and theorems to contradict what they have said, because I don't contradict the science that they're bringing to you. It's all valid. But the interpretations that they leave you with makes you believe you don't have no more work to do because you got melanin. And that your only significant battle is against European culture and the suppression of the Western Hemisphere over the Eastern. No, it's not that. Because you ain't got to worry about getting no guns. You ain't got to worry about what weapons you got to arm yourself with for this new Armageddon. Ain't nothing gonna stop what's getting ready to happen. And it's always at the end of a civilization do you see this much fever to create things of destruction. It's the end. Rejoice. I've been 20 years praying for all this to come down. Most of the information our black scholars got on melanin came from the white man anyway. This is why I felt compelled to approach the subject from another side, what I call it the other side of light. From the dark, or the black light. How many of y'all still got black lights from the 60s? You know why they took it off, right? They took them black lights completely off the market because they were doing something to activate your pineal gland. So find a black light. White light has within its scope 7 band spectrums ranging from red to violet, right? What they call the chakra colors. But black light or dark matter is from the infrared and ultraviolet spectrum. And the number of bands may be the difference in degrees of the circle. And otherwise, 353 degrees of that circle is missing from your consciousness time zone. And you want to know how it comes down to numerical significance? What is 353 add up to? Yeah. And what is 11? 2. And what is 2 the numerical equation of metaphysically? Huh? Doubt. Separation. Dichotomy. See, all of it is geometrically in place. In the ancient texts, many of the scribes said that the gods were metachosic or metachosic, which means in the Vedas that they were called the dappling ones. Dappled ones had shady spots of different forms all over their face, all over their backs. The spots came in the form of blue, brown. It became in the color of purple. These are all the different splotches that happened to the gods back there. They suffered from classic thyroid conditions like vitiligo. You know what vitiligo is, right? You see dark melanin brother or sister and white spotches all over them. That's vitiligo. That's a lung disease, by the way. That's why they can't find the cure to that. That's the lung and large intestines needs rehabilitating. Or we're going to get into what y'all going to need a little bit down the line, because I'm going to be doing consultations tomorrow at the Black Media Space. And if you all want to deal with it, we have some intake forms for you to fill out. But we're back again. There is a loss of melanin making people appear dappled, which is an excellent example of pathocrenes or pathocrines. These pathocrines are essentially when the intrinsic plasma of the blood can no longer carry the nutrients throughout the bloodstream. And therefore, the melanin isn't given the proper nurturing or foods that's necessary to get it into that electrical flow that picks up information. I was riding up and down here, and brother was telling me something that I was obviously seeing. Y'all got like mad fast food restaurants around here. And it's like, whoa, what better way for the beast to keep y'all locked down consciously than for people to be putting that filth into their systems.